Hi, Dinah here. Today I want to talk about something that I see in women all the time, and you probably do too. Have you ever noticed how women put other women on pedestals? And especially in the Christian culture, that we will look at someone who's a good teacher, Bible teacher, speaker, or singer, and we take them and we elevate her, and then the pedestal is propped up by our assumptions about her. We assume that she's super spiritual, that she's happy, that she has it all together. We make all of these assumptions because she has a good voice or because she can speak. I think men do this too, but the outcome is very different. If they see a guy who's a football player, they look at him and they say, wow, he plays football really good. And that's it. They don't frame this whole persona of maturity and character and spirituality. They just look at him and say he's a good football player. But women are very different. Now, I'm not talking about admiring someone. That's different. We can admire traits in women. We can look at them and say, oh, I admire her voice, or I admire this gift that God gave her to teach. That's very different than what I'm talking about. Women who are put on pedestals really, honestly, have nowhere to fall but down. And those of us who put them on pedestals can only look up and compare ourselves to them. And guess what? When we do that, we come out lacking. I don't think God intended it that way, that's for sure. You know, I think about Sheila Walsh, and I think she is the perfect example. Sheila Walsh came to the 700 Club. I think they wanted to make Pat Robertson a little more relevant because he was getting old. And so they brought Sheila Walsh, and she was from Scotland, and she had a beautiful voice. She had written many books. She was a wonderful teacher, wonderful singer, very engaging. Okay, so she's on this Pat Robertson show daily. And then one day a woman came and Sheila said, how are you doing? And this woman looked at her and said, you know, Sheila, every day people come onto your show and you ask them that, how are you doing? Well, I would like to ask you, how are you doing? And that was the crack that started and just she started falling apart. And on the show, by the way, much to the horror of Pat Robertson. And by that evening, she said she was in a mental hospital. What happened? Why would this happen? Well, because she had created this persona, not intentionally, by the way, but she had created this persona. Other women had propped her up and put her up there and admired her. And in reality, inside of her, she was hurting deeply. She talks about the shame that she carried after her father, who was mentally ill, had just spewed his hatred on her while he's being taken away. And she made the comment, she said, it was then that shame came into my being. And she said, not shame for anything I did. It was the shame for who I was, not what I'd done, but just who I was. And she carried it all that time, hid it well, covered it up, sometimes wasn't even aware of it, but it was there. And that's what we do when we put people on pedestals, put these women on pedestals instead of seeing them for who they are. You know, I have a ministry, it's called Psalm 51 Ministry, and it's Psalm 50.1, all spelled out. And I teach on shame. That's what I do. I work with women, and women come from all over the country, and we have retreats. I have videos on my website. They watch the videos and then they come for the retreat. And it is amazing to me because we have very accomplished women coming. We have nurses, we have lawyers, we have professional women, but they'd never dealt with the shame that was put in place as a child because of their abuse, their neglect, the hypercriticism, or so many other things. And so this is what we do, is we work with women on this. And we have a saying when they first come, and I use Sheila Walsh's story to intro it. And then I tell them, all we are is one beggar leading another to bread. There are no superstars here, not me and none of us. And during that retreat, they're learning how to take this message to other women. And that's the way that it needs to be presented. Don't make assumptions about us. Don't create a story about us. See us for all of our strengths and our weaknesses, because that's how Christ sees us. You know, Christ said, for everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. And I think that that's something that we need to apply as women when we put other women on pedestals.